Hi, I'm Lee and this is my podcast about my handmade life. I'm on Ravelry as louleigh and Instagram as louleigh_, and I'm a purveyor of fine knitting bags and accessories, and you can find me at Shop Louleigh on Etsy, but there are links to all of my online places at louleigh.com. Welcome! This is another spooky lighting episode. It's Friday afternoon and it has clouded over and become quite glum. So I have switched on a light which is going to reflect in my glasses the whole time. Mind you, the window usually does anyway, so you're probably used to that. But I've been really looking forward to coming and having a little chat with you. It's been a couple of weeks. So last time I talked to you, I was taking a long weekend in London, and I'd done a review on a book that I was really excited about, and I was going to London for the Knit British 1000th episode London knitting meetup. I think Louise called it a deck, and I know that's an acronym for something that has cake and knitting, something about talking and chatting, but I forget what that is. But anyway, that was really fun. I got to meet some online chums that I hadn't met before, which was awesome, and I got to meet up with some other friends that I only tend to see at festivals and on special occasions, so that was really nice as well. And I also went to the Victoria and Albert Museum. I didn't see any of the items that were from the books that I showed you last time, but it was just a really nice visit. I've been doing a short course on making films. I've only just started it, and so I made a little film about my visit and posted it on Instagram, so you might have seen that there. I think it's just really nice to see different examples of different types of craftsmanship and craft work, and yeah, just really inspiring, even if they're using materials that I don't usually use. Yeah, so that was really good. So this is community news, and the first thing that we have going on in the louleigh Ravelry group. Well, first I should say, if you're not a member, you don't have to be a member. It's not like there's a sub or something. Anyway, come and join us in the louleigh Ravelry group. There's a few things going on over there, and it would be lovely to meet you there. The first thing we have going on is the oldest along, which has been a knit along that's been running for a few months now, to inspire us to use our oldest stash or finish our oldest whip, or just to make some progress on those things. And that is running until the 31st of January. And I thought I would give out a little prize for that of one of my knitting bags. I have a couple that I've been wanting to keep, and so I thought it would be really fun to let you choose one of them. In fact, one of them is over here. It's not quite finished yet. I have a little stack of these. I bought this fabric ages ago to make bags with, and when I got it, I didn't think that you guys would like it, and so I never made it up. And then I put it on Instagram a while ago, and everybody said how pretty it was, and I think it is really pretty. So that will be one of the options. You can choose from that, and I think there's one other. Yeah, but I'll show you those next time. So that cowl is running until the 31st of January. So the next sort of activity we have going on in the group is Knit 1000 grams, which is about using up some of your stash before you visit all the festivals this year and enhance it a bit more. And that's going to run until the 15th of March. I think it's the 15th of March, which is the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. So 1000 grams is kind of the minimum. You can go over to the thread in the Ravelry group and keep a tally of how much you've used up, and I'll draw from that thread. What's happening with my hair today? I look like I've got a comb over. That's better. yeah, so you can keep a tally over in the Ravelry group, and I'd love to hear what your plans are for what you'd like to knit and what projects you'd like to get off your needles. Whips are totally allowed, so yeah, come over and join us, or just join in on Instagram and use the hashtag knit1000grams 2008, 2017 I think it was. Yeah, it's funny when it runs over 2 years, but you know, it's just how it is. And last time I mentioned the mini advent sock. The mini, no, that's not how it goes. The advent mini skein swap. And loads of you said that you wanted to join in. So I shall leave the thread open until the end of January, and then I'll pair everybody up and you can send off your parcels. And it's so exciting that you're excited about that too. Sometimes you have these harebrained schemes and it's sort of like, well, is anybody going to join in with me? Maybe not. Maybe I might just be doing this on my own. Tumbleweeds. But no, you guys were really excited as well, so that's really cool. Yeah, so if you want to know about the Advent mini skein swap, then pop over to the Ravelry group. All of the details are there. And as I say, I'll pair everybody up on the 31st of January for the first swap of the year. And finally, we have the Tiny Owls knit along running in the Ravelry group. And the Tiny Owls pattern collection was a collection that I released last year that included a hat and mittens and a pair of socks with a little colourwork motif. And it's been so nice to see people knitting along over in the group and also helping each other. That's really gratifying. I can't always pop in there every day, and so it's nice to see you helping each other out. I haven't quite finished my first mitten. Ta-da! I just had the thumb to do on this one, but I think I'm going to knit the other mitten, cast that on, and then do both of the thumbs at once. Yeah, I really like the way this is coming out. And there was some conversation over in the Ravelry group about blocking your mittens, and I have posted a link over there to the tutorial I used for making high-tech mitten blockers. So I made these out of a piece of cardboard. Actually, it was a piece of the box that my opal advent calendar came in, and then it's got fluff attached to it now. I covered it in tape, just clear packing tape, and there is a thumb as well. It doesn't really matter how long the thumb is, but I'll talk more about sizing in a second. So yeah, the tutorial for the mitten blocker is over in the group, but basically I just measured out the size of my mitten, and I made the blocker slightly, ever so slightly larger, probably by about 1/2 centimetre, just so it would sort of spread out all of the stitches and even everything out a little bit. And the same with the thumb as well. I don't think I've blocked this one as well. This was a sample that I did, and then I decided to do it in different colours so it would photograph better. But I really like these colours. Yeah, so the blocker just needs to be ever so slightly larger than the mitten, and then I would soak this and use a nice smelling wool wash, but I wouldn't put it on the mitten blocker when it was sopping wet. So I would let it dry until it was just sort of still a bit damp, and then I would put the mitten blocker in thusly. Whoops. And as you can see, the mitten blocker gives the mitten quite a nice shape. And then you can slip the separate thumb piece easily into the thumb as well. Make the thumb piece a little bit long because then you can wiggle it around a little bit. Yeah, you just push that up in there and leave it in there till it's bone dry, and that will just make your mittens look really nicely finished. So yes, and I'll do the same with my miniature mitten, and make a little blocker just to even it all out and make it look really nice for when I gift it. So yes, and really interestingly, there's been a discussion over in the Ravelry group about knitting colour work inside out so that your stitches are much more even and the tension is much more even as well. That's not something I do, but the conversation has been really interesting. So that if that's a technique that you've thought about trying, then pop over to the Ravelry group. I think there's a couple of people there who have tried it who might be able to help you out. There is no sock segment today, which is odd. In fact, I didn't even cast on socks for the Christmas Eve cast on. I have no socks on my knitting needles. Basically, on Christmas Eve, the hairy man gave me what looked like a pile of dirty cotton string and suggested that we needed more dishcloths. It had been a knitted dishcloth, which has disintegrated over time. So, for my Christmas Eve cast on, I cast on a dishcloth. Very functional. And I am using, I have been using, a yarn that I was gifted, which is King Cole Bamboo. Which is bamboo and cotton, 50-50. So I'm really interested to see how these work as dishcloths. But anyway, there was 100 grams and I managed to get 3 dishcloths of varying sizes. I've given one away. Yeah, basically this is a tutorial from Very Pink Knits, which I'll link to in the show notes, and it's knitted on the diagonal. So I just knitted until I got a bit bored, and then, you know, until there were enough stitches that it looked kind of big enough and I kind of felt like I'd like to decrease now, and so then I started on the decrease section. Yeah, so not very exciting. I'm not going to block them because I'm going to take one down now and put it by the sink for the hairy man to use when he washes up. So this week I have a finished object. Last year at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, Brooklyn Tweed had a booth, which was really exciting. We can get Brooklyn Tweed yarns here, but they're not cheap and they're just not readily available. So you might go to a shop and they might not have all the colours or enough to make a jumper in all the colours and stuff like that. It's an imported yarn it's an imported luxury yarn that's not easy to come by. So I thought I would head along to the Brooklyn Tweed booth and get some to try out to see what it was like as a yarn, and just to make it easier when I was trying to substitute the yarns for other yarns in Brooklyn Tweed patterns. And so I got myself some Shelter, which is a worsted weight yarn. Lots of you will have knitted with this or have heard of it and be familiar with it. And what was really nice was that Jared Flood was actually on the booth and could tell me a little bit about the yarn. So I made this hat. I only had one ball of this. I really like all the little flecks of colour in this blue. I hope you can see them. While you're looking at that, you might also be able to spot the mistake that I made where I forgot that I was supposed to be knitting in this section in garter stitch instead of stocking stitch. But never mind. This is a Brooklyn Tweed pattern. It's the louleigh hat. I'll put it on and It's an aviator style hat with ear flaps. This is not for me. Actually, I don't know who this is for. This will be for someone at some point. It's lovely and warm. But it has this, it's knitted vertically, and you do increases and decreases to make the ear flaps. And it was so much fun to knit. It was really good fun. Yeah, and it's actually really warm on my head as well. I was surprised because I have quite a big scone, and this actually fits me. I think the garter stitch actually helps it just grow a bit. I blocked it over a balloon, which is normal for me. Ooh. Anyway, so Jared Flood was stood around, not really twiddling his thumbs, but he kindly, we had a little chat about the yarn and some of its unique qualities. It's a woolen spun yarn, and it's incredibly lofty and light. And I understand that that is because of the targi, which is a breed of sheep, but the targi fibre in it. It's not a breed of sheep that is common here, and I believe it's a sort of a cross between Rambouillet, Corriedale and a Lincoln Longwool. And I had a look up in the Fleece and Fibre sourcebook about this fibre, and it's really interesting because the fibre is both fine and has a lot of crimp in it. So crimp are the little zigzags in the fibre. They're sort of like miniature curls. And it's the crimp that makes a yarn very lofty. Yeah, so it's a very fine yarn. It's similar to a sort of like a coarse merino with a lot of curl in it. Merino doesn't tend to have that much, the zigzag in it. But from the pictures in the book, this did. It kind of, the yarn reminds me of a finer Downs breed fibre, in that it has a very lightweight, spongy feel. There's a lot of air in it, and so it dries super quick. I have a hand spun jacket in South Downs, which is probably one of the finest of the Downs breeds. So it has South Downs fibre, isn't as fine as merino, it's a bit thicker than that, but it has a lot of crimp, and so it's very light and lofty, and when you wash it, it dries quick like polar fleece or something. And Shelter is the same. It's an incredibly lightweight, lofty wool, and not itchy or prickly at all. I know some people have had problems with it breaking as they're knitting with it, and although, like, if you pull it, I wouldn't use it for a warp on a loom or anything for weaving, but if you pull it, it will break apart. But I didn't find that it broke as I knitted with it. I really enjoyed knitting with this, actually. I can't think of another yarn that's like it. And I can understand why you would use it to make big Aran cardigans and things like that, because a lot of other yarns you could use for those projects would just make a really heavy garment, whereas this would be deliciously lightweight and lofty. Yeah, it was a really interesting experience. As I say, I can't think of another UK yarn that would be the same experience. And I would be really interested if you have knitted with Shelter or substituted Shelter or found a yarn you thought was similar and had similar properties. I would be really interested to hear from you. One of the things that I don't like knitting Aran and worsted and DK, one of the reasons I don't like knitting Aran and worsted and DK jumpers is because they become very heavy, and I have a DK weight jumper that I made using superfine merino, and it's like wearing armour. Yeah, so I would be really interested to hear any suggestions you have about substitutions for this yarn. This hat really looks like nothing at all when it's just on my hand. I did block it on a balloon, but that's gone down now, so I popped it and put it in the rubbish bin. Maybe I should put it back on my head for a final moment of finishing glory. There you go. Hopefully that's in focus. But yeah, really good fun to knit. I would highly recommend it. I do like, I quite enjoy knitting hats that are knitted vertically and in sections. It's just, yeah, good fun. There's my mistake there. Can you see it? Just here. Go on, focus. There you go. But I'm guessing whoever I gift it to will totally not be bothered by that. So I had a 50 gram ball and I only just had enough for this. There's actually a little section to finish the top, so it looks really nice, and I didn't have enough yarn to do that. I only had enough yarn to sew up the back. Yeah, but I didn't check gauge or anything. That would have been the sensible thing to do. But I only just got the hat out of one ball of yarn. Good fun to knit and a really interesting yarn. Finally, I thought I would show you my Boverton sweater as a welfare check, just so that you know I'm not neglecting it. So it doesn't look too different from last time, except it has a little bit more sleeve. Those little stitch markers are for the decreases, and my colour work is a bit wonky, but I'm hoping that will block out. Actually, there's some really bobbly bits around there, and so I think when I finish this sleeve I might just block it just to make sure that that will be corrected with blocking, rather than me having little sort of smocked sections of my sleeve. But yeah, so I'm not having a lot of knitting time at the moment, and so I'm just making a little bit of progress on that every evening, and this is actually the main thing that I'm working on at the moment. So yeah, that's still good fun. So it has been super fun to come and talk to you today. It's always really nice to have a chat. If this is your first time watching, I hope you enjoyed yourself, and you can always subscribe down there somewhere and come back next time. And come over to the Ravelry group and join us. It would be great to meet you over there. And I shall see you next time. Cheerio!